Hello, Ryuta Kikutani. Today I would like to talk about why life feels empty. Buddhism teaches us that life is an unfathomably lonely and empty place. You may say you don't think it's that empty or depressing. That's because you don't yet realize that you're carrying that kind of emptiness in your heart. Life seems empty, but it's hard to put it into words. For those who have realized that life itself is somehow empty or that everything feels empty, the Buddha thoroughly taught the true cause of the emptiness in our hearts. And that is Buddhism. The Buddha taught that the purpose of Buddhism is to eliminate the emptiness in our hearts. Today, I'm going to tell you what the emptiness is all about through the words of Western philosophers Pascal and Bertrand Russell, and also the words of the Eastern Chinese emperor, the Han Emperor. And after that, I would like to talk about what the Buddha said about the emptiness in our hearts. If you are interested in what Buddhism teaches about the true cause of the emptiness in our hearts, please watch this video. Here are today's contents. First, Pascal. Second, Wudi. Third, the true cause of the emptiness in our hearts. Let's get started. Pascal. Pascal, the French philosopher, said, "If you remove distractions from your life, all you have left is anxiety and boredom. Without distractions, we'll only feel anxious or bored." Boredom here means the state of feeling bored, lazy, or empty. So Pascal said, we'll only feel anxious, bored, or empty without distractions. We do various hobbies or activities to pass the time or divert ourselves. What would you do to divert yourself? In your pastime, you might be on your phone watching YouTube and browsing social media in the first place. Or you might be playing games, reading, or chatting with your friends. We do things like that to distract ourselves. If all of these activities are taken away, you're left with nothing but anxiety and boredom. To put it the other way around, we have these distractions in order to somehow forget or cover up the anxiety and boredom. We can't stand it even for a moment. For example, people often buy magazines at a kiosk because they can't stand to be idle even for 5 or 10 minutes waiting on a platform for a train. Magazines and newspapers sell so well in those places because people can't stand to be idle. Even waiting for a train for just 5 or 10 minutes can be boring, and they want to fill in the time. I lived in Tokyo for a long time. On the Yamanote train line, trains came every 2 or 3 minutes. They couldn't stand those 2 or 3 minutes. They were all playing games on their phones while standing there. They want to fill in a couple of minutes of time with something because they just can't stand it. We can say that there is so much anxiety and emptiness inside us that we can't stand not doing anything, even for a moment. When high school or college students meet, they ask each other if there's anything interesting. We could say that the exchange of such words is the cry of the heart to somehow escape from this anxiety and emptiness. Regarding this, Bertrand Russell said, "Hobbies and recreations are not fundamental happiness, but rather escape behavior to forget about reality. We feel this reality is somewhat unsettling and life itself is empty. To escape from this, we devote ourselves to various hobbies and recreations." His words are to the point. So, in the words of Bertrand Russell, not only mobile games, reading, and chatting, but also all the recreations or hobbies that a person engages in are what Pascal calls distractions. These philosophers with a keen sense of perception looked at anxiety and emptiness that we tend to ignore. Buddhism teaches that anxiety and emptiness are the root of all human suffering, and anything we do is to distract ourselves from the emptiness in our heart. Wudi. This is the word of Wudi, the emperor of the Han dynasty. The height of joy is a sadness. This is a poem written by Wudi at the height of the Han dynasty. The height of joy is a sadness. At the time, the Han dynasty was the world's superpower. It was like Rome in the west and Han in the east. As the Emperor of Han, he was blessed with all kinds of wealth and fame. And it is said that his party was so lavish. During the party, a feeling of emptiness took over. By the time the party was over, all he really had left was that feeling of emptiness. The height of joy is a sadness. He expressed his feelings in the poem. Even though his country won wars and had a victory party, he still felt empty in the midst of all the fun. A man with so much money, so much wealth, and so many pleasures, yet he felt so empty. In sports, athletes may suffer from burnout syndrome. Some Olympic athletes suffer severe burnout after winning medals. This is also called the after effect of winning. Olympic athletes really go to the extreme of putting their bodies and minds to work for the Olympics. And the culmination of all this is the Olympics. They have been dreaming about the Olympics and devoted to it since they can remember. And the medal is the culmination of that. And some athletes win medals. For a while, there's this lingering feeling of the Olympics. They get interviewed and showered with camera flashes, and the first 2 weeks or so pass in the blink of an eye. After some break, the time comes when they have to start practicing again. The athlete's heart gets filled with a serious and indescribable sense of emptiness, leaving them to wonder what that was all about. This is a feeling of deep emptiness that only those who have worked hard can understand. It's called burnout syndrome. There is a similar condition called emptiness syndrome. A big hole is left in the heart of a mother who has finished raising her child. It is called empty nest syndrome because it's just like the parent bird who is alone in the empty nest after her chicks have left. A mother made every effort to raise her children. When her children left home and became independent, she would feel an indescribable sense of emptiness. She feels lonely and empty, wondering what to live for in her life. This symptom is called empty nest syndrome. So, whether it's an Olympic medal or raising a child, there's an indescribable sense of emptiness, anxiety, and loneliness that comes after you put your all into something and it's all over. This is true not only in parenting and sports, but also in business. I've been hearing the word FIRE a lot lately. FI stands for financial independence. Financial independence is the status of having enough income to survive without having to depend on someone else. And RE stands for retire early. It's an early retirement where you don't have to work anymore and have enough money to live well without worrying about what a company, an organization, or anyone else wants. There are people who say that their purpose in life is to FIRE in their 40s. We can now live almost as long as 100 years. If they do FIRE at the age of 40, what do they do for the rest of 60 years? I think it's going to make them feel kind of empty. In fact, the director of Sony wrote in his book that he talked with people who had achieved FIRE in the U.S. and found that many of them were not having full and happy lives, but rather suffering from depression. Before they succeeded in business, they had a big goal. They were beating their brains out and moving their body every minute, every second as efficiently and rationally as they could, and they achieved FIRE. And when you're ready to do whatever you want in the future, you're suddenly going to feel empty. This is like burnout syndrome of Olympic athletes. I've heard that there are many business people like this. Having looked at these cases, you see that Pascal's definition of distraction is not only cell phones, gaming, reading, and chatting. Dedicating yourself to the Olympics, raising a child, and working are all distractions to cover up the anxiety and boredom. So we will start aiming for the next goal because we can't stand a moment without distractions. So we could say that for 4 years, athletes will try their best to win a medal for the next Olympics so they can get rid of the feeling of emptiness. Or maybe you will take up a new hobby to escape the emptiness syndrome. Or you might say you're going to contribute to society and start something else when you can't stand the feeling of emptiness. after having achieved fire. So if we don't find something we can dedicate ourselves to, we will feel empty. Do the distractions that Pascal referred to here mean everything we do, such as business, raising children, and sport? In fact, Pascal said that everything we do is distractions. Politics, economics, medicine, science, art, literature, religion, sports all fall within the definition of distraction. We can't help but do these things to distract ourselves from anxiety and emptiness. The election of the next Japanese prime minister has started. People who run for prime minister may not even know it, but they're actually trying to escape the anxiety and boredom. Citizens who are interested in the election also want to distract themselves from anxiety and boredom. People campaign to make someone prime minister. That's also another distraction. The mass media create media hype and excite the audience. That's also a distraction to escape anxiety and boredom. All the Nobel Prize-winning researchers, all the artworks in the Louvre Museum were created to escape anxiety and boredom. The same applies for those who enjoy the artworks. Religious rituals, such as going on pilgrimages to various religious sites and singing hymns, are all actions to cover up anxiety and emptiness. So are the Olympics. Going to space, going to war, it's all just a human distraction. The true cause of the emptiness in our hearts. In Buddhism, the true cause of the anxiety and boredom is called the darkness of mind. Everything we do is an effort to somehow cover up the darkness of mind. Buddhism teaches that even though civilization and culture have advanced, this is only a change in the way we cover up the darkness of mind. Then what is the darkness of mind? This is exactly what the feeling of emptiness is all about. Darkness means there is no light. So, the darkness of mind means dark mind or dark feeling. The darkness of mind is the mind ignorant of the afterlife in Buddhism. Dark also means unclear or unknown in Japanese. For example, I'm dark about economics means I don't know about economics. So the mind being dark about the afterlife means the mind ignorant about the afterlife. What is the meaning of afterlife? Once we are born, we must die. There is a 100% chance that this will happen in the future. What will become of us after death? That is the afterlife. In Buddhism, the mind ignorant of what will happen after death is called the darkness of mind. We will definitely die without fail. This is a solemn fact for all mankind. Then, what will become of us after death? We don't know it. A long time ago, Japanese people believed they would go to paradise after death. As for Christians, they believed that they would be taken to heaven after death. But is it true? We kind of know about it, but it still leaves us worried. I'm sure people in the Middle Ages had concerns about what would actually happen, and so did people in Japan's Edo period. No matter how much they say we can go to heaven or paradise, we can't be sure about it. Or they might say that there is nothing left of us when we die, but we still don't know what is true. Or when their grandfather suddenly dies, his grandchildren would wonder where he had gone, and also where they would go when they die. Then they become anxious and ask their parents. Then their parents tell them to stop thinking about the afterlife. So they would think there's no point in thinking about it. Then they feel like they kind of understood it. But they didn't really understand it. They only tried to forget about their worries. I've met people like this, and I think many people stop thinking about it. You might have thought about it before, but in the end, no matter what you're told, you won't really know it until you're dead. So you stop thinking about it because it only makes you anxious. But definitely we are all heading towards it. This is like a boat going towards a large waterfall, just like a single boat shooting down the rapids. And the destination is a waterfall. So our lives are like going down a river. It's already been 3 years since the one steer of the Reiwa era. 2/3 of the year has already passed. In the blink of an eye, it'll be 2025 and 2030. Time flies. And sooner or later, the time will come when we will die. All 7.8 billion people in the world are heading towards it. As we approach it, we start hearing the roar of the waterfall. Then the things we've been covering up suddenly start to make us worried. Once we get swallowed by the waterfall, that's the end. We get pulled by a force that no one can control. Everything we've done up until now will be turned upside down in an instant, and we fall straight into the waterfall. Then what becomes of us after we fall? At any rate, everything we do now will be turned upside down at this time. Then you might wonder what we are living for. As an example, I'll introduce the diary of a 26-year-old man diagnosed with cancer. Here's some part of his diary. After I was diagnosed with cancer, I walked around in the hospital and took a series of blood and EKG tests. Each time, I asked myself if I was calm. That in itself was evidence that I was confused. I felt like I was wandering aimlessly in a dream. I can't believe it's actually happening to me. People in chairs in the hallway were waiting for their names to be called. They all looked exhausted. The atmosphere was heavy. I'm not supposed to be here. I have cancer. I'm still 26 years old. The day before yesterday, I was running around playing soccer. I spent time without thinking about freedom or its value. The word waste seemed to fit perfectly. I regretted that I had been so cavalier about my health, time, and the seasons. Ironically, I understood for the first time how important these were to me when I lost them. But I wonder what would be left for me in the end after I let go of everything unimportant. With these thoughts in mind, I looked out the darkening window from the counter of a store filled with the lively voices of high school girls. I think it's tragic that a young man of 26 had cancer and had to be confronted with such a reality. But sooner or later, everyone is going through this. When we start hearing the roar of the waterfall like an earth tremor, it will suddenly come into our lives, and we are heading towards it. What's the point of a life like that? You feel emptiness and anxiety about being forced ahead for a dark place. This is called the darkness of mind in Buddhism. We live with this uncertainty about what will happen after death. Buddhism teaches us to look at the ignorant mind seriously and to destroy it. The purpose of Buddhism is to break through the darkness of mind and to find true happiness. This is the sole purpose of Buddhism. The purpose is called Heian Mangan in Japanese. It means destroying the darkness of mind and fulfilling the ultimate wish of every human being, true happiness. This was the aim of the Buddha who taught Buddhism, and this is also why we should study Buddhism. Today I talked about why life is empty. The root cause of the emptiness in our hearts is the darkness of mind, and the purpose of Buddhism is to destroy the darkness of mind. This is our take-home message from today's talk. On this channel, I try to share Buddhist teachings like this with you through simple examples. After watching it once or twice, there may be many things that you might find hard to swallow. But if you continue to watch it, I believe you will understand what Buddhism is all about. So, I'll be happy if you could watch my videos again. Thank you for watching today.